Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Aurora Smedley podcast, where I speak with you about what the world needs to hear. And in today's episode, I'm going to be discussing Enlightened Consumerism, which I was thinking about what to be the topic this week, and something that's on my mind because of the upcoming holidays and Black Friday and everything. I realized that something that I wanted to discuss was this concept of consumerism and then how to be a consumer in a way that is more aware, that is more conscious, that is more connected to all of existence. And so I look forward to sharing this topic with you all. Before I get into that, I wanted to thank you all for your comments on my last video. I am really happy that the topic resonated with you and just wanted to thank you for your comments and your feedback. This is really helpful for me as I build this channel and continue to release content for you all. It's helpful for me to know what resonates with you and what is beneficial for you. Also, I wanted to let you know that it is me that reads and responds to your comments, so I am happy to have this conversation with you. So today's podcast is on enlightened consumerism, and I think that this is a very pertinent topic because buying and selling things is kind of critical to this existence that we have. And something that I've found is that buying and giving and purchasing things can be so emotional. There's all sorts of emotions that we feel when we're purchasing, be it from fear of wasting money, fear of buying things that we don't need, fears that we're being too extravagant, guilt around treating ourselves, as well as excitement for obtaining these things that we have been craving for a long time. So I am going to discuss a number of different perspectives that I've learned about consumerism and how I now operate when I am buying or consuming goods. And I feel that this topic is very relevant to Black Friday coming up and the holidays. We have all of these things going on, especially at this time of year, that are related to this idea of consuming, of buying, of giving. And these are all energetically and spiritually weighted actions. So let's get into this topic. So first of all, the first principle that I want to present is that everything is energy. We all know that everything is energy. And so because of this, anything that you buy or purchase is an energy that you are bringing into your life. Anything that you let go of or give away, this is energy that you are transferring to other people. And this is energetically going to impact you. And it's not just about the thing itself, but it's also about the energy in which you buy or give that thing. The way that you purchase the item, the emotional context, the personal context that you have when you are buying the item also impacts your future relationship to that item. Sometimes we have good memories associated with purchasing or acquiring certain things, or we can have bad memories or negative memories associated with these items. And so these items are not just carriers of energy, but they're also carriers of memory. Carriers of memory, carriers of story, carriers of thought. And so the way that we accumulate items in our lives is quite critical as far as our personal elevation and happiness, as well as our relation to this physical world. So I'm going to go through a number of different ways that I've seen this approached in our society and how I view things now. So the first way, and I think this is kind of the default way that our society is just blind consumerism, right? So this is just, I want this thing, so I buy it. You know what I mean? I want these other things, so then I buy it. I'm buying things, I'm accumulating things without any thought or consciousness or elevated way of thinking about things being part of that conversation. And this is how probably 99% of America operates. The reaction to this paradigm is minimalism. The thing about minimalism that I found to be a bit out of alignment for me was that minimalism can often be reactionary. And I tend to be very conscientious of reactionary approaches to anything. And this is because when you are acting out of reactivity, you're actually not acting from personal alignment and authenticity, but rather from reaction to something else. So typically, when we become reactionary, we lose touch with our sense of authenticity. And the thing about the minimalism movement, while it can be beneficial for many, I think the core challenge that I have with minimalism is that its essence is in reaction to consumerism rather than in alignment with whoever you are. And with minimalism, we are often coming from a place of constriction, that we need to restrain ourselves, that we need to prevent ourselves from buying things. And I think that this is actually a limitation on ourselves, because then we are not coming from a place of joy and expansion and alignment. And instead, we're coming from a place of punishment, of you should do this, of you're not allowed to buy. And I don't feel that this is actually the most beneficial way to address purchases. And I will point out that I have actually experienced minimalism to kind of an extreme, because I hiked solo through the wilderness for 2,000 miles on the Pacific Crest Trail. And while I was out there, everything that I had in the world was on my back. And when you are carrying everything with you, you begin to really want to let go of the things that you have so that you don't have to physically carry it around. But something that I do want to share with you from my time carrying my tent and my sleeping bag on my back is that one fellow pointed out to me that typically on these backpacking trips, people carry their fears with them. So we carry our fears with us when we go backpacking. If you are afraid of the cold, you carry too much warm gear. If you're afraid of being hungry, you carry too much food. If you are afraid of anything, you carry it with you. And I think that this is kind of actually aligns to how we go about and experience our everyday life as well. I think so many times people are buying out of fear. People are buying out of fear. People are consuming out of fear. People are accumulating items in their life out of fear. This is such an interesting principle, because many of the actions that we take, and in fact, most of the actions that we take, are actually not coming from a place of logic, but are coming from an emotional center through which we grant a logical perspective to that. One other thing that I want to address with minimalism is that part of my attraction to minimalism at the beginning was also reducing my environmental footprint. I felt that if I was consuming more, that this was going to negatively impact the globe, and that by being consumers, we are negatively impacting the environment. So there was this internal tension that I felt around buying or consuming anything because of its impact on other beings. But something that I started to realize through that was there was a kind of constriction that I was feeling emotionally and internally by engaging with minimalism. I felt that I was constricting myself. I felt that there was almost this internal strangling, this internal restriction that I was feeling by trying to be a minimalist, that I wasn't allowing myself to being myself fully and completely. And so this is where I'm going to bring in another idea, which is the principle of essentialism. So I discovered essentialism through the book of that title. And essentialism is expanding a bit beyond minimalism, which I think is a bit more balanced. And essentialism is the idea of we invest heavily in the things that we love and care about. We invest heavily in the things that we value, and that we do not spend in the areas that we do not have value. And this is starting to kind of expand this story a bit, which is starting to have a relationship with objects, where we are understanding that, at least in these areas that we are deriving happiness, that we are deriving value, that we should invest there and buy or consume or do the things that are aligned with those values. But there was still something kind of missing from essentialism for me, and that thing was energy and energetic alignment. But I still didn't really know how to integrate this with the things that I'm buying and the things that I'm engaging with. So I think the next development of these ideas was with Marie Kondo, which I think many of you guys know about Marie Kondo now. Her book is amazing, and it played a significant role in my life, I would say. And this was a breakthrough for me because she approaches objects from this sense of energy. Basically, certain objects convey onto us different energy than others. We have different emotions that spontaneously arise as a result of certain objects versus other objects. And that certain objects bring us joy spontaneously, whereas other objects do not. And this is something that differs between every single person. I found this to be really a fantastic way of thinking about objects. However, there was still something kind of missing from this approach for me. And this was that I found that sometimes the right objects did not actually spark joy, and that there was other emotions that I was getting from these objects. So this has led me to my current approach for how I buy and accumulate items in my life. And this approach is what I will call enlightened consumerism. And this is, of course, making the presumption that I am enlightened, right? But I think that this is more about an ideal and intention of when we are buying, bringing more light, bringing more consciousness into the act of buying, into the act of consuming. And this perspective, I'm going to delineate with a few questions. Now, when I am making purchasing decisions, now when I'm deciding whether to buy or not to buy, I will ask myself the question, am I creating through this purchase? Am I expanding my light and the light of others through this purchase? Am I expanding my ability to create? Am I bringing joy to myself and others through this purchase? Is this purchase in the highest good? Is this purchase what the creator wants for me? Does the creator want me to have this item? Does the universe want me to have this item? So from this, our relationship to things becomes less about, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want to have this, I need to have this, I need to fill some gap in myself. And instead, it's coming from a place of, how am I bringing more light to the world by having this thing? How am I bringing more light to others by giving them this thing? And so this fundamentally changes our relationship to things. And then our purchasing decisions come from a place of wholeness rather than trying to fill some gaping void within ourselves about buying something. And as I'm sure you're aware, there's so much of our marketing in our society that is towards creating a sense of lack within you of, I need to have this thing in order to fill some kind of void. I need to have this thing in order to be pretty. I need to have this thing in order to be liked. I need to have this thing in order to be worthy, to be valid, to have status, to be loved, to be popular with my friends, to whatever. And fundamentally, this messaging is coming from a place of lack, is coming from a place of deficiency, is coming from a place of exploitation, of wanting to get something from others, or wanting to fill a void or a gap that we have within ourselves. So other questions that I ask of myself when I'm making purchasing decisions now is this coming from a place of lack? Is this coming from a place of insufficiency? Because so many of our purchasing decisions are coming from a place of unworthiness, of deficiency, of, I need to fill this hole within myself with this purchase. Be it cosmetics, like I need this to look beautiful, be it with clothing, I need this to look fashionable, I need this, I need this, I need this. You see that this is coming from a place of neediness, of deficiency, of lack of self-worth, of, I need to fill a hole or a void within myself with this. So, and it's not, and I'm not sitting here saying that it's bad if you ever mess up, or it's bad that you ever buy things for that reason. But I think that as we are moving into the holidays and we're making these decisions about what we want to buy for ourselves or for others, I think a critical aspect of this is, what are we buying that is in alignment with our higher selves, that is in alignment with our truest nature? The next thing that I want to mention on this topic is this idea of giving to people, and how this becomes such a emotionally complicated and weighted action is giving to people. Sometimes people in this act of trying to give, we begin to exhaust ourselves. We begin to feel deficient while we are giving. Why are we not giving more? Why am I not giving a more expensive present? And sometimes when we give things to people, there is ulterior motives attached to it, like, I want this person to like me. I want this person to respect me. I want this person to have some kind of reaction to this so that I can fill some hole in myself. I want to give this thing to somebody so that they stay my friend, right? So that they value me, so that they stay my friend. All of these ulterior motives that we have for giving to people is actually taking from them. It's taking energy from them, and it's taking energy from ourselves, because it's acting from this place of insufficiency. Conversely, when you give to somebody and it's from a place of joy, when it's from a place of inspiration, when it's from a place of thoughtfulness, there's such a joy and expansion of both people's energy at the process of this giving, that this person is receiving something that was heartfelt, and you feel joy from giving something that was heartfelt. So this is something that I also invite you to reflect on as we are moving into Black Friday and Christmas and the holidays, that all of this energy around buying for others and for ourselves and of giving is all a transfer of energy, is all connected to the emotional and energetic intentions that we put into these buying decisions. And so I invite you to be considerate of that when you are taking these actions. So I very much look forward to your thoughts on this topic, and I look forward to seeing you in the next podcast.